want to say good morning to everyone. And it's good to see everyone here with us again this morning. And it's good to be back in the Lord's house. In a way of announcements, a few announcements we got we need to keep remembering is this month we're collecting blankets. So if you have new blankets that you'd want to bring in and donate, they're collecting those out in the fellowship hall foyer. And if you have money and you want to donate money to that for the ladies to go spend and buy some blankets for that, you can do that as well. Don't forget the shoe boxes are out front. I believe they're due back November 13th. 15th, so don't forget that.
Tote out there with a few extra items in it if anybody needs anything for their shoe boxes.
Okay. There's a tote out in the foyer with some extra items in it if you need some extra things to go in your shoe boxes. So don't forget that. Don't forget also for anyone that doesn't feel like getting out and shopping, though our church members from home, if you don't feel like getting out to shop, there is a way to do that online, and I believe the church has set a goal for 50 online shoe boxes to be purchased online. So
that'll be found on our Facebook page. It should be tagged right up at the very top. Should be the first post you see once you get past pictures and all that. But it should be stuck up there on top, easy to find. Just click on it, follow the directions, you're good to go.
okay. So on the Facebook page, at the very top of it, you should find a link for that that'll get you to where you need to go for that. Don't forget, if you've got candy to bring in for the pumpkin patch that we're doing at the church, you need to bring that in tonight. So if you've got candy that you need to bring in, you please bring that in tonight. Is there any other, let's see, and that will be Wednesday night from 6:30 to 8. Is there anything I'm missing on that? Anything?
Packing those pumpkins tonight with the candy, so we need to be here early for that.
We're going to do it at 6:30. Yeah, so those of you that want to, they're going to start putting the pumpkins together tonight at 6:30 down in the fellowship hall. For those of you that want to help in that, you can. I will be preaching tonight as well at the same time, so we do have quite a few that watch us on Sunday night and church members that are unable to be here, so we'll have preaching tonight and that too. So it'll be at the same time, but I promise you I'm loud enough you'll hear me. So let's see, any other announcements? I'm getting better at them, Bobby. I'm working on it. I've never been good at announcements. If you've wondered why I've never done them before, it's because I'm not good at them. So, but we're learning, all right? So I guess in prayer requests, do we have any prayer requests or praises?
Announce, preacher, but this is Pastor Appreciation Month. I want everybody.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, you
No, I didn't.
people knew that, but I thank God for you. That's a praise this morning I have. And for the work that you and your family do, I thank you.
I'll tell you, this is my home. This is my home, and this is my church family. And I love you all with every ounce I've got. I love you all. There's not a moment during the day that I don't think about everyone. And even those that are watching from home, you know, I can say I love you, and I think about you and pray for you every day. Every day. Any other announcements, or not announcements, prayer requests or praises?
I want to thank everybody for their prayers for Wendy. She's doing well. It's hurting quite a bit, and she's taking pain medicine, but you know it's doing what it's supposed to. I mean, he told her it would hurt a lot, but I want to thank everybody for their prayers. Thank God for bringing her through that okay.
Yes. Continue to remember Wendy in your prayers. Go ahead, Kim.
My sister and brother-in-law that live in Illinois are both down with the COVID virus.
Yes, remember Kim's sister and brother-in-law. Remember James and his family. I think Zach said they were all traveling this week up to Ohio, where James's sister had passed away. So do you remember them and their travels? Anyone else?
Billy.
Yes.
Thank you for the
prayers and the calls about her. That meant a lot to her. So we
Yes.
appreciate that.
Yes,
She's
do.
doing really, really well.
Yeah, do remember Millie in your prayers. I tell you, I've had a couple broke body parts in my life, but you know, to break both arms, that's going to be tough on her. But anyone else?
Praise, I want to thank God that Larry didn't run the riding lawnmower off our retaining wall this week. It got away from him and started skidding, and he hit the big concrete flower pot that the step up on the block wall caught one of the wheels and kept him from going over. So I praise God for that.
Yes. 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 Thank the Lord for watching over us. Anyone else?
And continue to remember my neighbor who lost his wife. And I've got a pretty important decision I need to make coming up. You just pray that I listen to God.
Yes.
for
Amen.
that decision.
Amen. Remember Christy's prayer request this morning. Anyone else? Yes. Larry says, remember our nation in your prayers. Anyone else?
Austin, his plans are to re-enlist, but he has some decisions to make on which branch he wants to re-enlist.
Remember Austin in your prayers. Remember Austin in your prayers. That's a big decision for a young man. Anyone else? We do need to continue to remember Gerald in your prayers and his recovery. We also need to remember Dole's mother in your prayers as well. I'm trying to think. I think that's about all the ones that I can remember. I know in the last couple of weeks we've had other prayer requests that have been mentioned, so you do remember them. Anyone else with a prayer request or praise this morning?
And I've got a little story I'd like to tell you. Well, it's not a story, it's the truth, but we went to Poncho's to eat one night before Wendy had her surgery. And, you know, of course, she had that sling, and there was a family sitting over from us, and it was a man, wife, and 3 little children. The oldest child was a little girl, and she was, I estimate her age between 8 and 10 years old. Prettiest thing you ever saw. She came over to us and she asked Wendy, said, what happened to your arm? And she said, well, I fell and broke it. And she said, I wrecked my bicycle and broke my arm, and said I had to have surgery. And Wendy said, well, I'm going to have some surgery too. But the sweetest thing that little girl could have done, she said, can I pray for you? And right there in the middle of Poncho, she prayed. Her and Mama come over, and they prayed with Wendy over her arm. And that tickled Wendy and me to death. I mean,
Yes.
that was the sweetest thing I've ever seen a child do that I can remember. And I thought, man, that's just wonderful. You know, little girl, maybe 8 to 10 years old, already in love with the Lord,
Yes.
wants to pray for others. I mean, that don't get no better than that.
That's right. That's right. It's good news to hear. Anyone else? If not, Mike Anderson, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your many blessings, Lord. We ask you to be with all these prayer requests, Lord, and just may your will be done. If people need comfort, comfort them. If they need healing, heal them. You know what they need, Lord, a lot better than what we do. Father, I just thank you so much for our speakers coming today. Thank you so much for the good work they do. Keep blessing them, Lord. Most of all, Lord, I want to thank you for our pastor. We appreciate him so much, Lord. You don't know what a blessing he always is to us. We just appreciate him and Lori and the kids every day. Father, we just thank you for what you do here at your church, and let us be a small part of it. Let us always be found trying to do your work, Lord. Lord, we just ask you to be with us and bring us back the next point in time. All these things I ask in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Again, it's good to be here this morning. We do have Mr. Albert Myers with us this morning from the Gideons. And he's going to be speaking to us this morning about the Gideons and their ministry and the things that they do. And, you know, they're not just they are a worldwide organization, but they actually do work in here in our communities and doing work in our, around our schools and in our state and in our county. And they do a great work of distributing God's word. And I always love hearing the stories of how people, sometimes when you find yourself in a bad situation, you find yourself struggling in a situation, I'm thankful that I know who to turn to. I'm thankful to know that when I have a need, I've got someone I can lean on. There's many people around us, not just in our own country, but around the world, they don't know who to turn to. Sometimes they're in a hospital, sometimes they're in the services, sometimes they're in a hotel room or wherever it may be, and they're looking for answers. And you know what they'll look for? They don't look to the TV. They don't look for anything else. They'll see that Gideon Bible laying there, and they'll start getting in it, and they'll start turning, and they'll start looking. If there's ever a situation that you're in or anybody else and you're needing help, you'll find the answers you need in God's Word. And I appreciate the work that they do. And I guess saying that, we're not passing the offering plates around right now because of the COVID and sickness and things. We do have our offering plates in the back of the church. For your tithes and offerings, just put your tithes and offerings in the right plate as you go out the door, this on my right side. And if you have a love offering that you want to share with the Gideons, put it in the offering plate on the left side as you go out this afternoon. So I do want to thank them. They're supplying the Bibles to go in our pumpkins that we'll be handing out to kids, or the kids will actually be going to get them in the pumpkin patch Wednesday night. I do thank Albert for taking care of those and supplying those for us. So you, Brother Albert, you come on and you share however you want to share with us this morning. And it's always a pleasure to have him and his wife back with us. You've been here 3 years now, I guess, and I appreciate them. And I'll give you a little insight about him. Right before Bible school rolls around, he always calls me because he wants to distribute Bibles. Right before trunk or treat or whatever event we're having for the kids, he calls me wanting to know what he can do to give out Bibles. I appreciate that, brother. I really do. This church appreciates the work y'all do. Go ahead, brother.
There's a guy I go to church with, he said he'd just about soon be in jail for one of these things. But you have to use common sense with stuff. If these masks will keep people from getting sick, I'd say wear them. And when me and my wife wear them when we go out. We don't wear them around home, but we do wear them when we go out. I got a question for you. Do you believe in divine appointments? Most of the time, if you're like me, most of the time things happen and you just kind of take it for granted. I remember one time I was working at Alcoa and I was on graveyard and I'd had a particularly bad night. And I was coming home and I was on the bypass and there's two guys in front of me doing 30 miles an hour. And I was fussing, why don't you get up? Wonder if you go on, you know how you do. And all of a sudden, there's a guy coming down the other way in a big travel trailer, and he lost that thing, come right across through there. If I'd have been doing 50 miles an hour like I wanted to do, I'd have been right in the middle of him. And but most of the time we think, well, that just happens. But God's in control. And things don't just happen. I got a story about a woman. Her son was turning 16, and she took him to get his driver's license. Well, got there, and they said, you can't do it today. You got to make an appointment. She said, well, we're here. Why can't we do it? I said, no, you got to make an appointment. Well, she went home, made an appointment. Well, she went back the appointment time, and she was sitting in there, her son took his test. He went out to take his driving test and said, and some guy said, I remember the first time I got my driver's license. Well, she got to talking to him, and she asked him if he was a Christian. He said, no. Well, she said, I've got a personal workers testament here. I'd like to share with you and show you about God's word. Well, anyway, she said it took her son 33 minutes to take his driving test. With 33 minutes, there's another salvation going to heaven. She said if they'd have took that test the first time they went, she'd have probably never met that guy, and he might not ever been witness to. You know, things don't just happen. God makes things happen. A lot of times he lets things happen. You know, just like, but he can control things. If you think, reading the Bible, all the things that's happened, I think about the donkey it talked. You know, God is in control. That's just what it is. And we got to realize that, appreciate what he does for us, because we as Christians, you know, I was listening to David Jeremiah this morning. He said, people talk about eternal life. Said, when you get eternal life, he said, when you get eternal life, it's not when you die. It's when you turn your life over to Jesus. The Bible, Isaiah 55:11 says, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return to me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the things whereunto I send it. You know, when you stop and think about all that God does for us and all the things that happens. I was at a baccalaureate service at for Greenback High School, and the pastor that spoke that day to give his testimony said his family didn't go to church. He was not but he was at college, and Gideon was passing out testaments, and he took one, said he didn't read it. He took it there and just laid it up. Well, when he graduated, he got a job, and he's getting all his stuff up, and so he's putting the stuff in his backpack, and there that Gideon Bible was. Well, he got it, put it in his backpack, and said he rode a Greyhound bus across country to where he had a job offer. Said he was driving that bus, and I don't know if you've ever rode on them buses, they're about as boring as all get out. That he rested in his backpack to get something to read, and he got that Gideon New Testament. Well, he started reading it. Said, later on, there's a young lady got on the bus, and he got to talking to her. Well, but he still, when he got to where he's going, he still read his Bible, and he went to church. And he said, but he said, it's his testimony. He said, the two most important people in his life he met on that bus, and one of them was Jesus Christ, and the other was his wife. So just think about it. Things don't just happen. God makes things happen. He puts things in front of us a lot of times to help us to understand what his will is. You know, there's a story about a guy, at the police officer in San Antonio, Texas. He was a Gideon, and said he arrested these guys and said they'd go out and they'd serve their time. They'd get out, and first thing you know, they're right back in. So he said, I've got to do something about to see if I can break this chain. So he brought him about a box of Bibles. When he'd arrest somebody, he'd give them a New Testament. But then he rocked on. He just kept doing that, and he didn't hear anything about it. But one day he got a call, and he went out, and rocked his car and walked into this house where he was going. Said he knows this guy mowing his yard across the street. So he come back out. So there that guy was standing beside his car. And he said, "You remember me?" And he looked at him and he said, "No, I'm afraid I don't." He said, "Well, you arrested me for drugs." He said, "You give me a Gideon New Testament." That I had 60 days, and I read that Bible the whole time. So I got out and went to church, and I made a change in my life. And he said, "You ain't never see me back in that jail again." So just think, what if you give somebody a Bible, it might not do, you might think it did any good. But you know, Bible don't say that we're saved people. Bible only says we are to witness. We are to do His work. So just think, if you ever get a chance to witness somebody, that is your job. That's our job. Got another little scripture. 1 Corinthians 3, 7-9. So shall neither is he that planteth, or neither he that watereth, but God gives the increase. Now he that planteth and he that watereth are one. Every man shall receive his own reward according to his labor. For we are laborers together with God, and we are God's husband. We are God's builder. You know, a lot of people think, well, the Gideons are an organization away from the church, and we're not. We are, I'm going to tell you a story about a guy's a businessman in Blount County. And he decided, he got to talk to him about being a Gideon, and he said, okay. So he filled out the papers and everything. And he turned them in. They said, went to Nashville. And they turned him down. They said, why did they turn him down? Because he was a member of one church, and he didn't go to it. He said, they sent that paper back to the pastor. The pastor wouldn't approve it. So every Gideon, his pastor has approved him to be a Gideon. That's the way, that's part of it. They have to be a member in good standing of their church, or the pastors won't approve of them. But and ever, you know, when I go out and witness somebody, I'm not the greatest witness in the world, but a time or two I've led people to the Lord. I always tell them, find you a Bible-believing church to go to. The people like that, we always direct them to the church, because that church is God's church. He's the one that's left here to do His work. We as Gideons, just an extension of the church. You know, there's another story about the guys was in the Philippines passing out scriptures at a college. They give this one guy one, and he pitched a fit. He drove it back and threw that Bible just as hard as he could. Well, they said they went on past the mountains. In a few minutes, this guy come down. Said he had work clothes on and everything. And he said, I see you guys passing out these Bibles. I want to know what happened. Said, I was up there working on the roof of this house, and said, I got hit in the head with this. Well, they talked to him and led him to the Lord, but that guy that pitched that fit and threw that Bible, he didn't know he was doing God's work. You know, just think about it. God has got so much, He's got ways to doing things that we don't think about. Just like I asked that question, Spark, do you believe in divine appointment? You know, things happen to us every day, and a lot of times, I'm bad about it. Just go along, you know, and don't think just like that. Them guys blocking me from going on driving on where I want to do. At that time, I thought, "Whew, well, I'm glad I wasn't up there, you know." And when I got home, I got to thinking about it. That was them guys. Because we had to stop, but them two guys was in the front of me. I knew them guys. They worked at Alcoa too, and both of them lived in Madisonville. And both of them, when they got off work, most of the time, I don't know if you remember or not, but this 4 lane went up there. So well, actually went down to 1 lane. They was always racing to see which one could get there, so they'd be in front. That morning, for some reason, I guess God's directed them to drive 30 miles an hour, keep me from being up there and getting killed maybe. So I got to think about that. And after I got home, then I kind of had to pray, cry a little bit. But you know, God has got His ways of doing things, and if we really understand and think about it, what God has done for us and what He's going to do for us, we deserve none of it. The Gideons have a thing called the Gideon cards. I don't know, you know, I'm not sure, you know, you just have a rack here. You know, Wilma, her group, if anybody dies in their family of her group, they send a Gideon card. And you could say that card, you could send a Bible for $5 in memory of anybody. You can't go to Hallmark and buy a card for $5, but you can send a Bible in memory of somebody for $5. And just think about it. Now, I'm going to tell you, I know humans are having a hard time with getting there, doing things and coming, meeting and everything else. Well, the Gideon's been having a hard time too. We normally go to schools. Well, we didn't get to go because of this virus. And our church services have just dropped almost to nothing because people don't want you coming in. We normally go to UT. Now, last year, we passed out 11,000 Bibles at UT in October. We're not getting to go this year. Last year, we went to the Tennessee A&I Fair. And it seemed like it was something like 1,200 or something. We passed out there. We didn't get to do that either. But there's one big thing that you all can do for the Gideons, and that's pray. Pray for us, and pray that this stuff will go away. And you know, because I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't think anybody else does. These politicians, these scientists, they keep saying, no, one says this, one says that. But just got to remember, God is the one that's in control, and He will keep. I don't know. It's crossed my mind. I remember when one time David counted the people, and God sent a pestilence to punish him for doing that. Punished Israel for doing that. I don't know if this is this is a punishment for us or not. But I'm going to tell you something. That when men and women was reading the Bible, and we was talking, and they were worshiping idols. They was passing their kids through the fire, it says. You say, well, we don't do that. What about these babies who've been aborted? You know, maybe. Of Because the Bible says there'll be a falling away, and maybe this is getting to the end. So just pray for us, and pray for it, pray that for, and if you and I'm on politics a little bit. If you ain't voted, go vote, preacher. I'm through. Put this thing back on. Appreciate it.
Thank you, bud. Mr. Myers talking about divine intervention. That automatically starts getting me to thinking about all those times God's in control. There's been many times in my life I shouldn't have survived or lived through what I've been through. And you know what? I'm glad I'm serving the Lord that can keep a lawnmower from going over a retaining wall. I'm glad I serve a God today that can steer a car back in the other lane. I told you when Caleb got married and we were on our way to where they was having the wedding, it's been a long time since I've almost been in a car wreck. But I'm telling you, that one was so close. I told you the lady that was driving, I could see the color of her eyes. And it wasn't her driving that saved that day. It wasn't my driving that saved that day. God just somehow just parted them, I'm telling you. So when you're sitting here thinking about that divine intervention he was talking about, you know, every one of us, even as little children, Millie fell out of a swing set, broke her arms. You know, that sounds really bad, but it could have been a lot worse. It really could have. You know, when you think about divine intervention, what about when God sent his son down for us? You know, what a plan to send his perfect son to die on a cross for our sins. You know, we're going to leave here in just a moment, but I want to thank the good Lord for all that he's done for me. I want to thank him for his presence this morning. I thank him for Brother Albert and his wife for being with us, and the Gideons and the work they do. And he is right. They are faithful to their church. I have had members get into the Gideons, but become a Gideon, and they do contact you. They absolutely do. And they're wanting to know if they're faithful to their church and faithful in their attendance and worship. And you know, so they do a great work for the Lord, and they are an extension of the church. So if you have love offerings that you'd like to give them this morning, feel free to put it in the offering plate on the left as you leave out. I think you're going to come back tonight and help them. They've offered to help with putting the pumpkins together for the kids as well. So if you don't have anything with you this morning and you'd like to bring it back tonight to give to them, you can do that as well. Don't forget the announcements. If you want to come upstairs and listen to me preach and holler tonight, you're more than welcome to. If you want to help them put the pumpkins together, you can do that as well. The good thing about those pumpkins, you know, it's a fun time for the kids, and it's a fun time experiencing things. You know, the candy might live through a night. You know, sometimes, I don't know, Mom and Daddy, they didn't separate our candy. If you wanted to eat it all that night, you could go right ahead. That candy's going to go away in a couple of nights, I dare to speak. But those little kids, you know, that Bible, it won't go away. You know, maybe that Bible get in the hands of a kid that may read it. Maybe that Bible will end up in the hands of the parents that's looking for something. So you be praying for that, and you be praying for one another. Don't forget Wednesday. We'll meet here at 6:30. And probably need to meet here earlier than that. I'll try to give some more details tonight because we need to set up some people with flashlights, traffic directing in and out of the church, and different things. So don't forget that. If you've got a flashlight with some good fresh batteries and you want to help direct and guide. No.
Somebody asked me, and I said, I don't really know.
No, they're not playing the hay rides.
Oh, okay.
Any other things? Anybody with a word or anything before we leave? If not, ask Brother Bobby if he dismisses some prayer, please.
Father, I thank you for this day, and I thank the Lord for the word Brother Albert brought to us. I pray, Father, for the Gideons, for the work that they do. Lord, I thank you for your scriptures, and that, Lord, that you've taught us to hide it in our hearts that we might not sin against you. Lord, I thank you for the scripture that he read that said your word wouldn't return void. Help us, Lord, as a church, and help me, Father, to always remember, Lord, what we do for you, Lord, is always going to be for the good. God, lead us and guide us and direct us as a church. Bless our pastor and his family. Lord, I pray that you be with the lost. Most of all, help us to be witnesses to them each day as we go, that we might share this word, that we might share the testimony we have of divine intervention in our lives through your Son, Jesus. All these things I ask this morning in Christ's name. Amen.